The voters have spoken, and they've given us a divided government. They've given us basically a Democrat in the White House, a Democratic Senate, and a Republican House. And so what they have telling us, I think, is that we have to work together. And they don't trust either political party to have all the answers. But my own personal belief is that Obamacare is unsustainable because of the costs associated with it, many of which have not kicked in yet. So I think we're going to have to work together to figure out how to provide access to coverage for the American people, but at an affordable cost. And I think there's some very good ideas out there that we need to explore on a bipartisan basis.
Senator, you just mentioned the Democratic Senate. You were the chair of the committee tasked with electing Republicans. What happened this time around?
Well, life happens while you're making other plans. You know, a lot of it had to do with the environment. A lot of it had to do with the individual candidates, some of whom made some serious mistakes. And, you know, I have to give a lot of credit to President Obama's team for tactically accomplishing the kind of turnout they needed in order to get a narrow victory. But the fact of the matter is this is a status quo election. As I said earlier, a Democratic Senate, that's what we had before, what we have now, a Republican House, what we had before, what we now have, and a Democrat at the White House. So my hope is that now the election's over, we can come together, find that middle ground. I've always believed in the 80-20 rule. 80% we can probably agree on, the 20% we can't and we need to discard. But we have a lot of huge challenges. The most urgent one is avoiding the fiscal cliff, as well as the sequester, which the combination of which will, as the Congressional Budget Office said yesterday, put us in recession and put an awful lot of people out of work. So we have to avoid that, but even more than that, we need to do the nation's business and do the job we were sent there to do, working with each other. Neither party is going to have control, and so what that means is we've got to find common ground and work together where we can, and not sacrifice our principles. But on things that aren't a matter of principle, I think there's a lot we can do.
If you look at who got elected, some have said they're even farther apart, you know, liberals and extreme, those on the right. Will that cause even more gridlock this time around in Obama's second term?
Well, I think a lot of this has to do with what President Obama does with his second term. If he chooses to take advantage of that second term to lead, then I think there's a lot we can do. But it takes presidential leadership to provide the political coverage for Democrats to do what they know they need to do. And Republicans have been, I think, humbled somewhat by this election and need to realize that we don't have all the answers either. But we never have a government where only one party or the other controls it. Well, we did for a short period of time the first 2 years of President Obama's term. But I think what the message that the American people have sent us is that they don't trust either party with all the answers. What they want us to do is to work together in the common good and in the best interest of the country. And that's the message that I got out of this election.
How will the outcome of the election impact your role as whip if you in fact take that position?
Well, we'll find out next Wednesday whether I'm given an opportunity to continue to serve within my party's leadership in the Senate. I look forward to that challenge and that opportunity. I know it's not going to be easy because people tend to view political parties as monolithic, and that is as one, but really they're not. Each political party is made up of coalitions. People have different views, but what we need to do is to come together and to address this imminent fiscal cliff. But more importantly than that is to get America back to work. People who work, pay taxes, that's going to help us control some of the deficits together with reining in federal spending. So we know what the solution is. We just have to have the courage to do it.
What will be the biggest difference working with Ted Cruz as opposed to Kay Bailey Hutchison?
Well, Ted Cruz is going to be a good United States Senator. The challenge that Senator-elect Cruz has is the same one I had when I came to the Senate. I'd never served in the legislative branch before. So he's a very smart man. He's an excellent lawyer, and he's very skillful at articulating the frustrations that people have with the direction of our federal government. And I look forward to working with him as a partner in the best interest of Texas and in the best interest of the nation.